All right, shalom, and welcome to another Bible study that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. My name is Esaac ben Israel, and I am the elder priest of the United Congregation of Israel. And I'm joined here with my brother, Priest Kish. Shalom, my brother.
Shalom.
All right. So, if you guys have, looked at any news recently, you've seen like this major earthquake that happened, I think, in Turkey. There's mixed things that you have to wonder from some of this. We know that the powers that be have the power to influence certain weather patterns. We know that they have used these things as weapons. So you have to look at some of those things and wonder, what is it that you're looking at? Then also you have to look at that Yahweh says he's going to bring all of these disasters, that he's going to sweep especially the daughter of Babylon with the besom of destruction. So these same storms that they may be warring with, then Yahweh will turn around and war with them with those same things. And when it comes down to something like that, it's very difficult to pinpoint blame. So if somebody sent a missile, then everybody can point blame and say this individual did it. But when you can turn weather or something like that into a weapon, it is very, very difficult to figure out who did it. Case in point, when you read the situation of Job, it says that the adversary, the devil, was given power to do some things, but he couldn't take his life. It says the fire of Elohim came out of heaven and devoured things, right? But that was the adversary, the devil, that did that. So if that can be confusing, that people who watched it automatically felt like it was the power of Elohim, yet it was the doing of the adversary, and he made fire shoot out of heaven. So this is where it says that if it were possible, these things that are going to come upon us is going to fool even the very elect. That means these things are going to be to a point where people are bouncing back and forth. It's going to get so intricate that if we don't have some drop of the Spirit, we're going to have some troubles. Meaning that the things that they are bringing upon us are going to get more and more sophisticated. You don't bring out the big guns and the big deception at the beginning of the fight. You bring out the little guns and you wear them down. So as we are at this point coping with a lot of things, we have to understand that those things are going to get greater and greater and greater. Because at the end of the day, Yahweh wants us to depend on him. And as long as we have other things, we don't have a reason to depend on him. As long as we have a ample amount of funds in our bank account, when something happened, we just swipe the card. Something else happened, we swipe the card. Something else happened, we swipe the card. When the card don't work, now something happened, now we hit our knees. That's what he wanted the first time. The card actually got in your way. He was trying to get some communication from you, but he can't get it until he max out that card and you can't swipe it no more. So a lot of these things are going to bring forth a twofold purpose. It is going to deal with certain evils on the earth, but it's also going to get the attention of the individuals who he wants that attention from. Now, we were sent a article, and I want to get Priest Kish to read this article. And it's one of the things that you have to wonder when all of these, it says diverse earthquakes and all of these things that are going to come upon the earth. And when something happens, a lot of times, because now everybody's running to the rescue, they're donating money and all of those things. At some point, you have to wonder, okay, at what point is this, some things that Yahweh is getting some attention from the earth to try to push man into changing some of our ways. And this is one of the things that is pretty interesting about this. Brother, I want you to read this article right here.
Gender neutral God to be considered by Church of England.
All right, so the Church of England is going to introduce a gender neutral God. There's certain words that we didn't even hear until a certain until like this generation. I mean, first of all, when we were little, you didn't really even hear the word gender. People didn't even. There's certain words, and we sure didn't hear gender neutral because we barely heard gender. Is you male or female? It's like, what gender are you? What? So now you have this thing, and remember, Yahweh has instructions about how he is to be portrayed. And it says, look, don't try to make anything to represent me. Nothing in the air, nothing in land, nothing in the sea. I am that I am. Don't try to quantify me. You don't have what it takes to even explain what I am. Don't worry about trying to do that. But then people then use that as an excuse to go wherever they want to go. Go ahead.
For decades, the gender of God has prompted debate within the church, with many calling for male pronouns, he and him, as well as reference to our Father, to be scrapped in favor of either gender-neutral or female alternatives.
Go ahead.
Now, in what would mark a departure from centuries of tradition, bishops are to launch a project on gender language, referencing God in church services later this year. The move has been criticized by conservatives who have warned that male and female imagery is not interchangeable. However, liberal Christians have welcomed it, claiming that a theological misreading of God as exclusively male is a driver of much continuing discrimination and sexism against women.
It's amazing that when they want to change something, they claim that somebody is being hurt by it. All right? Now, all kind of evils can happen to us, and the earth tell us just get over it. But all of a sudden, somebody say a word, and they are so offended that all of a sudden everything in the teaching is changed. Now, you can't say anything about the enslavement of our people and how it shaped America. That's outlawed in school. But you can talk about these things and there's no problem. And it's interesting how this game is being played. It's one thing for man to change man, but now man gonna change Elohim. See, this is that point. When you read, there is this place where, when you're talking about all men dwelt together at the Tower of Babel, and it says they all got together and this is what they did. Now, we know from just what we know now, there's no way they were going to be able to build a tower to make it to heaven, right? That's not his point. The point is, look how much evil they do when they together.
Mm-hmm.
So there's principalities involved in this then, is what Yahweh is saying. Look at this. Confound their language, split them up. And from that point on, man has continued to try to get what? A one world order. So the one world government order is completely against Yahweh's will. And that's something that we have to understand. So all of the push that they're making is to put back together what he split up. So we get, lured in by this, let's all come together and have peace. If he wanted us to all be together, we'd all be together. You can push all those lands together and make one landmass and fit together like a puzzle. If he wanted us to be together, we'd be together. Go ahead.
Details of the plans emerged in a written question to the Liturgical Commission, which prepares and promotes forms of service and religious worship in the church, a General Synod, the church's lawmaking body, which is sitting this week. Any permanent changes or rewriting of Scripture with gendered language would have to be agreed by a future meeting of Synod. Develop more inclusive language. The Reverend Joanna Stobart from the Diocese of Bath and Wells asked what steps were being taken to offer congregants alternatives to referring to God with male pronouns, and if there was any update to develop more inclusive language in our authorized liturgy.
Now, what's funny is they're all about alternative words, because I watched a PhD having Christian doctor get to the Songs of Solomon and did not read black. He said, I am tan, but calmly. Oh, they're all about alternatives when the alternative fit the thing that they are trying to promote. It clearly says, I am black, but calmly. I'm black, but beautiful. They say, oh, no. Now, see, if we start doing that, this would be considered anti-Semitic. See, now you putting yourself in the Bible. Wait a minute. You don't think that this anti-Elohim, you can't get no more anti than that. Go ahead.
She also asked bishops to provide more options for those who wish to use authorized liturgy and speak of God in a non-gendered way, particularly in authorized absolutions where many of the prayers offered for use refer to God using male pronouns. In response, the Bishop of Lichfield, the Reverend Michael Ipgrave, replying as vice chairman of the Liturgical Commission, said, "We have been exploring the use of gendered language in relation to God for several years, in collaboration with the Faith and Order Commission. After some dialogue between the two commissions in this area, a new joint project on gendered language will begin this spring."
Why? The things that, there's, you can see the difference in people and how much money and time they have to put into mess. What happened? You see how they operate with us, and you'll see what that means. What happened when our people in this book, they start talking about being free? What Pharaoh said? You're idle. You're idle. You need to work some more. You wouldn't be worried about that. So then you think about how we have to deal with things here. Work. What is that about? Work. So you ain't figuring out how to do nothing else. So then who ends up being the majority pushing changing force? It's those college kids, the ones who don't have no job to go to. See, once they get us loaded down with a job, we done been working all day. They were like, hey, you gonna march? I'm marching right to the living room. And I'm gonna give me some dinner. And then I'm gonna march right to the shower. And then I'm gonna march right to my bed. I'm supporting you from the living room live via satellite. You understand? We ain't going out there. So if you keep them busy, then you don't have to keep worrying about all these other things. And hey, that's an effective strategy. I know 2 summers straight when I was young, I had a problem with the law 2 years straight. That next year, my mama had 2 jobs waiting for me. There was one in Kroger and one at Target. Didn't have much problems after that. She's like, you got too much time. You got way too much time, cat. Take care of that business. Go ahead.
See, that's the plan. Because even with Mike Tyson, when Customato was alive, that was the plan. Train, fight. Mike Tyson was not to have leisure time on his hands.
Yeah.
When the old man passed away and he had leisure time, we see what happened. He started getting in trouble.
Constant trouble. Go ahead.
The precise details of the project remain unknown, with Dr. Ipgrave declining to comment further. Professor Helen King, the vice chairman of the Synod's Gender and Sexuality Group, said, questions around gendered language and God have been around for decades, if not centuries, but still have the power to bring out strong reactions. For some, God as Father is helpful because of their own positive experience of a loving parent. For others, God as Father may reinforce a bad experience of a strict disciplinarian as their father. If we dig deeper, clearly God is not gendered. So why do we restrict our language for God in gendered ways? A spokesman for women and the church, a national campaign group for gender equality in the Church of England, also welcomed the move to look at the development of more inclusive language in our authorized liturgy.
Now, you have this thing. They said, God is not gendered. And, this is one of those things, Raise your hand if you've seen God's genitals. I don't see no hands raised. So here's one of these things where, we're going to decide some things. He says, I'm going to tell you how to deal with me. Don't try to make anything. And what's interesting is they don't see that they're trying to make this into something. And once they make one step, 3-4 more steps coming. Because what's happening is first, God has no sex. Next thing, that whole rainbow gonna be on God's shirt. He gonna have a rainbow mohawk. So you're gonna have all different kinds. Once you just crack the door open, all of this is going to change. This is just step number one. Go ahead.
Yeah, but as we can see, the boundaries are being pushed further and further back because we see, okay, they got the rights given to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we see they start attacking songs that's been around for centuries,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, what is the song? A Natural Woman?
Natural Woman. Natural Woman wasn't natural.
Right? And I saw something where they're attacking something else recently. So next thing, they're going to rewrite all the books.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to rewrite all the movies.
All of he going to say she or it or something like that. That's a problem. There is a problem. And it's amazing how this agenda gets pushed forward. But we say one thing about who we are. And all of a sudden you this, that, and all these other things. Go ahead.
Well, you see now the Egyptians the ancient Egyptians are being portrayed as being white, right?
Yep.
So where's it ever going to end?
Well, all of that has to happen. It have to have the collusion. Because if you present the Egyptians as black, it causes a problem with the situation of Israel. So because of the lie that they're telling with Israel, this is something that my mother told me a long time ago. A lie will never stand by itself. A lie needs company. All right? A lie will never stand. When you tell one lie, you got to tell another lie and another lie and another lie. A lie, it just cannot stand alone. So when they present the lie that these people are Israel, they then have to tell 20 or 30 other lies this way and 20 or 30 other lies that way. There's a line of lies that have to be put in place to protect that one lie. So they have to go and present this. Because you have people like us who read and say, well, wait a minute now. If this person was mistaken for this person, how they white?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to make that person white too. And that way, then it'll be fine. So that's the game. And they're going through and they're going to change everything that they can possibly change to put forth this lie. As it is written, if it were possible, they will deceive even the very elect. Some of these very people who walking around talking about they this or that, by the time this is done, oh, we Israel, we this tribe. By the time all of this stuff come out, most of them going to be, well, you know what, maybe we not the people. I've been looking at TV. Right.
I mean, as it's going, they don't want to teach black history in school, right? So they taking away all the stuff about slavery. So after a while, what you think the transatlantic slave ship's gonna look like? What do you think them
Carnival
passing?
Cruise Line. We're gonna be on the slave ships riding down a little slide into the pool. Right. We're gonna have a little Hawaiian reef on. You know, they're gonna be hula hooing. Woo! Woo! We coming to America.
Because what they say, we came here looking for a better life, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
that one of the
yeah, yeah.
narratives?
It's gonna make it one big old vacation. Go ahead.
God is not sexed, unlike humanity. However, the Reverend Ian Paul, a member of the General Synod and the Archbishop's Council of the Church of England, warned against any departure from the original scriptures, saying, the use of male pronouns for God should not be understood as implying that God is male, which is a heresy. God is not sexed, unlike humanity. The Bible uses feminine imagery and metaphors of God, but primarily identifies God using masculine pronouns, names, and imagery. Male and female imagery is not interchangeable. The fact that God is called Father can't be substituted by Mother without changing meaning, nor can it be gender neutral to parent without loss of meaning.
Now, you have a situation, and you know we're gonna get to something later on about that, because now parenting, of course, is done differently because of all of these other things. So there's not a mother and a father. They want to change that as well, because some situations may have two mothers or two fathers. So then now they have to change the relationship to just parenting. It can't be mother or father. Then now you're discriminating against somebody else.
So where it says that Melchizedek had no beginning, no mother, no father, that's going to change. He's going to say he just had no parents.
According to them, he must have been gay. You know, he didn't have no mama or no daddy. He must have been adopted by two dudes. What?
But I'm just saying, the wording of mother had no mother, no father, that's going to have to be taken away.
They going to make themselves Melchizedek. They ain't going to take it away. They ain't going to take it away. They going to make themselves holy just like that. So some people can say, I had no father, I had two mothers. I had no mother, I had two fathers. Now you holy like Melchizedek? So it is a really, really strange thing that's happening. You know, I never thought I'd see them push this hard for something. And it's like, why are you, every other couple of months, something else comes out. It's a push, it's a push, it's a push. This agenda is strong. But there's a serious depopulation campaign going on the earth. And one thing, if you want to depopulate, that, my friend, will do it. That will depopulate. So there's an agenda, and all of these things kind of work together to go into play, because the powers that be want access to all the earth resources and leave the poor workers with nothing. But if there are too many poor workers, they're still taking up too many of the earth resources. They don't want an even split of the resources. You have to look at how Africa is completely raped and robbed of its resources. Every country goes into Africa, pulls out all of the natural resources, but will never allow Africans to manufacture anything. They must never know the power that they're walking on. So you see the Africans, they all in these caves, digging, little kids, dirty, getting some of the best resources that the world can offer for nickels and dimes. Go ahead.
Fathers and mothers are not interchangeable, but relate to their offspring in different ways. If the liturgical commission seeks to change this, then in an important way, they will be moving the doctrine of the church away from being grounded in the scriptures.
Their church ain't been grounded in the scriptures in a long time. First of all, first thing they changed was the Sabbath. The first thing that was blessed and sanctified was the Sabbath, and it was the first thing that the Euro Gentiles changed. Go ahead.
You look at how hard this pushes. Did you see the woman president of Liberia? They went straight attacking her, asking her that question.
Yep.
So are you going to do something about that lady said, no, our laws are the way our laws are. And they kept asking, that lady kept answering the same way.
Right. They want to know if she was going to undo
the law.
it's illegal to be homosexual or whatever there.
Said, our laws gonna stay the way our
she
laws
said,
gonna say.
we're not going to change it. Did you have something?
Yeah, the Church of England, they're more confused than, most Christians. They are both, because if you remember, they separated away from the Roman Catholic Church when, King Henry tried to get them to annul one of the marriages and the Catholic Church wouldn't do it. So they separated. They claim to be both Catholic, Protestant. They're the founders of the Anglican, I guess, a denomination, if you will. So they are confused. They have been confused for a long time.
At the end of the day, it's just a race of confusion to figure out which one is more confused at the end of the day. And what it all boils down to is just like the situation of Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. They all fighting for control of it. Mm-hmm. And these people going to do this to get this. And these people going to do that to get that. But when the time is up, time is up. Go ahead.
A spokesman for the Church of England said, "This is nothing new. Christians have recognized since ancient times that God is neither male nor female. Yet the variety of ways of addressing and describing God found in Scripture has not always been reflected in our worship. There has been greater interest in exploring new language since the introduction of our current forms of service in our contemporary language more than 20 years ago."
If you're going to push this thing for depopulation, then you have to allow these same-sex unions. You have to allow these things that are not going to generally produce kids, but maybe take on kids that were already produced. So you can't shun them in the church if you're trying to get this agenda. So that push has been going really, really strong to change these things. It used to be a situation where somebody did what they were going to do. They didn't go and broadcast it, because, honestly, if somebody was whatever they were, how the hell would we know? If you kept your business to yourself and went in your house, it could be a dog, a cat, a rat, a chicken, and a monkey in there. As long as your dog, chicken, rat, and the monkey don't come outside and start messing with me, I don't know nothing about that. This is all about public acceptance of these things. See, the first thing is what's supposed to be private is already going public. Even in a normal working relationship, a regular heterosexual relationship, it has gone crazy. Because what used to be privately done between couples, you find somebody at aisle number 2 in Walmart and you want to say, will you just get a damn room? And that's a married couple. What is wrong with y'all? But see, that's what people say. That makes me feel loved. Public displays of affection. So now what used to be private, even between normal couples, is not private anymore. To the point where now, a brother get treated wrong. Oh, now regular brothers get held to the standard of these people who trying to spoon in aisle number 2. You don't hold my hand like that. You don't ever do such that. No, because I'm a real man. I don't know what the hell that is. That's not normal. That's aisle number 2 at Walmart. That's not supposed to happen. Go ahead.
As part of its regular program of work for the next 5 years, the Liturgical Commission has asked the Faith and Order Commission to work with it on looking at these questions. There are absolutely no plans to abolish or substantially revise currently authorized liturgies, and no such changes could be made without extensive legislation. The news comes amid tensions within the Church of England as the Synod prepares for a historic vote on blessings for same-sex couples later this week.
All right. So when we look at that, this a genderless God is the whole topic here. I want to go to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, and let's start this at verse 26.
And Elohim said, "Let us make man in our image."
All right, so the whole thing is about the image that he wanted to put forth of man. All right? And doing this, understanding that Elohim has all power, man is going to be made in a smaller likeness, and you have to consider some things in the order of how things were done. Go ahead.
After our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of El created he him. Male and female created he them.
Right. So then now we have, because he's giving the overall, this is where sometimes people say, well, there's two different creations. Jump to Genesis chapter 2, and let's start at verse 4.
These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh Elohim made the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
There was not a man to till the ground. So when people say he made man, they say, okay, well, that's mankind. He made man and woman. But let's keep reading.
But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils.
Don't say into the nostrils.
Breathe.
See, there you go, being gender neutral. See, look at you. You done been affected by one article. Look at you, into the nostrils. I am appalled.
You know what's funny? That's probably how it's gonna read from here on out.
Hey, you might have stumbled on something, and you might be right. Because them little changes will change some stuff way down the line. Now imagine a person reading that for the first time, and that's what it says. Go ahead.
Into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground, made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight.
Okay, so then they're saying, that there's no difference, but he has clearly said, let us make something in our image, and this first creation in his image is this man. Now, this confuses people because, people say, well, he made man and woman at the same time. No, he did not. This is how the stories start to blur when people want to push this agenda. So man has everything in him to create life. Yahweh is going to pull it out of him to continue life. He made man in his image. That means man has everything. This is where people is gonna throw you. See, they'll tell you what the testicles were ovaries. They tell you all of these things. Everything that's needed, man got it. If not, understand, man is made from the ground. Woman's not made from the ground. Keep reading.
Even when you go back to Genesis 1, there's an order there. Male, then female.
So if there's no order, he says, I'm gonna make you like me. All right? And then I'm gonna give you dominion. If we are like him, then something has to have dominion over something else. So, are the angels equal to Elohim? Well, how can the woman be equal to the man? That mean, God had to ask Lucifer, you know what, I want to hang out in the Milky Way. Is it all right with you? I mean, I made it, but I just want to know if it's okay with you. Right. Go ahead.
I just had a discussion about that same thing where she was trying to say that the Bible talks about the woman having seed just like the man, and I said, that's not the case. You know what a woman has. A woman has an egg, which is the reason why males are the only ones that can produce both male and female. A woman can't do that because a man has everything that he needs to reproduce life. Women don't have that.
See, but here's that thing. People don't want to deal with this setup, and to change that, they got to do all of these things, and they have to push, this agenda to make everything equal. And it's funny how people play the game of equal until something happens. Woman is equal, woman is equal. Then she run up in the face of a man, he knock her out, he hit a woman. Wait a minute. You equally ran in his face like he was a man. He hit you like one. Now you crying female. And you ever notice when you get into any kind of discussion with a same-sex couple with a female, the more dominant one is the one you always have to argue with. The other one is nice with you every time. And it's like, what? You can't even say hello. They got a problem with you. What? Did I do something to you? What is the problem? Because now I got to prove that I'm equal to you. See? I got to prove. So I'm going to be aggressive to you even though you haven't done anything to me. So there's this push. And that's what this push is. I'm going to make this equal. I'm going to make the woman equal to the man. And if the woman is equal to the man, look here. Next time we hear noise in the middle of the night, don't ask me to get up and go see about it. Remember, we equal. I'm rolling over. You go see about that. Go ahead, bro.
I mean, you got to look at certain things when it comes to this whole male and female agenda. I've heard men blame their wives. You can't even give me a boy. No, that's you.
Not her department.
You the one ain't creating no boys.
Right.
And then you look at the life giver, male and female. Who has a expiration on life giving?
Right. It's not a man. The man can limp and fall all the way down the hall and still make a baby. He can't even walk down the hall. But you have to really consider some things and how Yahweh has set up something. We don't see certain things as evil. This we don't see as evil. The whole makeup of it and trying to change that is completely and utterly evil. Go ahead.
And good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Verse 10. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pison, that is it which compassed the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold.
Now, jump to verse 16, because, 15. Because what happens is they think that they can change everything by changing the pronouns. See, I'm really sick of this pronoun game, all right? So if you change the pronoun, let me tell you something. I don't care what pronoun you put here. There's an order. Start at verse 15.
And Yahweh Elohim took the man.
Man, not mankind. Go ahead.
And put him into the garden of
See,
Eden.
they're like, no, don't put him. Put them. See, it's nim. Just put any M, nim. And Yahweh took him, them, and put them into the Garden of Eden. All right, go ahead.
And put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
So he got a job. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may eat freely.
Now, this whole altercation don't make no sense if there ain't no difference between the male and the female. This whole situation don't make sense. So they think that they can change the pronouns and change the story. It's not going to change the story. You can put he, she, it in there. Bottom line, there's one that comes first. That one was given instruction, and the other one told the next one. Go ahead.
But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die.
And this was him that was told that. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I'll make him an helpmeet for him.
Okay. So that instruction is given before the woman is even there. Go ahead.
And out of the ground, Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air.
Now, what he's telling you, now he's going back, because remember, he made the beast first.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, what he's telling you is how unique a woman is. He's telling you just how unique. This one is exceptionally unique. Why? Because I ain't made nothing else like this one. This one right here not going to be made like I made the animals. I even made man from the earth. But this right here, this is going to be a unique thing that I'm making. And what people keep trying to do is turn in their uniqueness. Go ahead.
And brought them on to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man.
So then the woman was made out of man. She is the only entity on the face of the earth that was clearly made from another entity. So then you have to go in this circle. Woman was made and came out of a man. After that, every other man came out of a woman. Go ahead.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man.
She shall be called. So he is clearly the one in charge. Remember now, he's made in Elohim's image. How does Elohim make something a god without giving him any kind of control over anything? If they're equal, he don't even have control of his house. How you a god? How you a god? Now, with that power also come responsibility. You notice Adam had a job before he had a woman. Folk quick to go get a woman. Where your job at? See, we forget that part. We want the woman. Then when it's time to clock in,
I mean, I don't really feel like it today. You know what I'm saying?
then when she said, you know what, I don't feel like it today, now we got a problem. Right. Go
I
ahead.
mean, even in the description he gave, there's always going to be that should always make you reflect right back to the beginning. Man, the womb of man. You came out of the womb of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother.
Wait a minute. Now, see, now here come the pro now.
Leave
Here
his
come the
parents.
pro. Hold on. I you understand?
Therefore, a man shall leave his parents.
Because now he can have any kind of parents. Okay? Go ahead.
And shall cleave unto his wife.
What? Can't say his or wife. Well, you can say wife because wife can be interchangeable now. See, it could be he shall cleave to his husband, her, whatever. Go ahead.
And they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
They were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. There's a certain level that's there. There's still innocence and purity there. They don't even understand the depth of nakedness. Like a child does not understand the concept of nakedness until they get a certain age. You know, you at a certain point, you know, when the kids are little, you have to love on them as much as you can. You know, you go in there, you can wash them, you know, do all those things. They get a certain age, don't come in here. I'm taking a bath in here. They don't want you nowhere near that. You better enjoy them little times of innocence, because once it's gone, it's gone. This is something here, and everything want to change that. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7.
You know, these Bibles that we have now, boy, is something that we're going to have to put under lock and key after a while.
Right. There's so many revisions. You go to get, it used to be a point where you could say the Bible. Now, it's 150 different versions. You trying to read with somebody, and their wording on their book say something altogether different. And some books missing whole chapters. Like they didn't like nothing in that chapter, it's not in there. Daniel chapter 7, and started at verse 21.
I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High,
Right.
and think to change times and laws.
Are we not dealing with it? See, we thought the major change that we used to always talk about was the change of the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. Now we got so many changes coming. It's crazy. Every time you turn around, there's another change. Well, this is also how they're going to wear out the saints of the Most High. Go ahead.
I'm stupid. I'm just thinking, so is Prince Charles or King Charles going to have to get a gender-neutral title?
Hey, man. Hey.
You can't call yourself King Charles.
Oh, he's not going to change anything. You know why? Because he's not subject to the things that you mere peasants are. See, there's a law for him, and then there's a law for the rest of you. See? He's not held to any of those. You are. Go ahead.
And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven, shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart.
All right. I want to go to something here in 1 Timothy chapter 4. And, you know, each one of these things, as it starts getting further and further along, you start seeing more and more diverse ways that they are implementing some of these things that we've read in the book, you know, for years and years. And then you see a whole nother level of it as we get closer and closer to the redemption of the children of Israel. 1 Timothy chapter 4, and I want you to start that at verse 1.
Now the Spirit speaks expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils.
Now, we always thought we knew what that was until things started coming a little closer, and all of a sudden we're hearing doctrines that we would have never thought we were going to hear. Never thought we were going to hear some of these doctrines that we are hearing now. Go ahead.
Brother, I didn't see it, but did you, there was a clip of this whole recent Grammy thing or whatever. There was some devil worshiping thing going on stage, which, you know, we know old boy did it some years back. But they said there was some open worship stuff going on. And then CBS was like, yeah, we ready to bow down and worship or something.
I walked out of the room when it came on. I didn't see it. I mean, I saw like the intro type thing, but I didn't see it at all, my brother. And you know, there are big things about all of the imagery about what, you know, Beyonce does. So, but if you're gonna be in that game, you know, there are certain things that we don't even see as a blessing. Yahweh keeping me from that was an absolute blessing. He did me a solid. You know, and we don't see that. We really don't see that. We think that we are getting something when we get into this life and not understand all of the things that we're losing trying to follow, you know, that, you know, line of work that's led by some exceptionally evil people. Go ahead.
Speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meat.
So when you deal with the forbidding to marry, we always saw this situation that was with the Catholic Church where they say, they so-called take this vow of abstinence, but we know what happened with those little boys. You can't not marry women and then play with little boys and then think that you are pure. It is the dumbest thing ever. But you have to also look at the game. What was that quote that they say Kim Jong-un said? How did America convince Africa that polygamy was a sin and homosexuality was a right? Now, that is a deep statement. But one is going to cause you to have a lot of kids. And another one is going to cause you to have basically no kids. So consider, if that's the aim, then it makes sense why this push is there. Go ahead.
And, you know, just that first statement, forbidding to marry, we're in this world and we understand what marriage is. So that lifestyle don't produce a marriage.
Right. And when you understand how the priesthood worked, the priesthood was given down by families, meaning that, you know, this man got with a woman, not a he got with a it, and no, it was a man that got with a woman that produced a child. That child was born into the priesthood. It is absolutely impossible to have a priest and then say, oh, we're so holy, we're not going to marry. Where do you think the kids come from? Where do you think the next priest come from? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But this is how they make these changes. Go ahead.
Which Elohim has created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. For every creature of Elohim is good, and nothing to be refused, if it be received with thanksgiving.
Now, we got all kind of things that people will go with that. I want to jump to Daniel chapter 8 and start that. At verse 23.
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Now, I don't see anybody, if this is what's supposed to happen in the days in the latter days of the Gentile rulership, which we know that we're in, then the children of Israel are being destroyed by them. Instead, we see these individuals putting people in the land saying that they are the Jews. So how can both of these be true? Go ahead.
And through his policy also.
This is how everything goes. This is how the hypocrisy that it talks about, the racism, all of that happens through policy. It says you're free. You don't have to be a slave unless you get caught doing a crime. Now we can make you a slave again. So he rules through policy. So the policy was already created after the amendment citizen with the lowercase c was made. All of a sudden, all these prisons were built. They didn't have prisons before. They did it through policy. And in everything, it is a policy. It's just think to change times and laws. So the laws are changed. The policy is the way that they use their power to destroy us. You have to do this. It's just the law. It's just, it's not us. It's the policy. Go ahead.
And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore shut you up the vision, for it shall be for many days.
All right. Now let's go to Daniel chapter 11. And start at verse 32. Daniel 11 and verse 32.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their Elohim shall be strong and do exploits.
By flatteries. And you have to look at the game of how these flatteries come out. You remember at one point, it was all on the news that everybody who's dying of COVID is the people who didn't get the shot. It's a epidemic of the unvaccinated. Now all that's unchanged. You don't hear none of that no more. Now you see them now the people who got the shot was walking around with flatteries. I heard people walk, you know what, if you ain't got the shot, I don't even want you to stand near me. I'm standing in a doctor's office, listen to this woman talk boldly. If you ain't got it, I don't even want you to stand near me. Gave them this fake flattery, and people ran out to go and do all of these things. Then when the tide changed, now they're trying to tell them, well, keep getting the shot. And most of the people who have those issues are the ones who keep getting those shots. But through flatteries, it made them feel like they were better than somebody else. You mean you ain't got the shot? Go stand over here. Go stand over there. Go ahead.
That's that. When we were reading in the other chapter in Daniel, it talked about craft prospering in his hand. And that's talking about deceit and treachery, where you fool the people to believe that this is going to be some great thing for you, so they're bold about it. And instead, they're the ones that are being harmed through that deceit.
Right. And I just, no matter what kind of way, I do not believe that this stuff just passes through the air. Just the way that they have been known, poisoning water systems. You got to think about some of the biggest things around when it affects everybody. You look, somehow it was in the water. Well, we got to keep looking at all of these things that folks have been poisoned from Camp Lejeune since the 80s or 70s or something. And this was the military. They put some contaminated stuff in the ground and it contaminated the water, and it done poisoned generations of people. So when you talk about all of this thing that supposedly went airborne all the way from China, and it got over here in no time flat, people should have been dropping immediately. It shouldn't have been no way, like me and him standing beside each other, but I got the left wind, he got the right wind, it didn't get him yet. The same cloud that came in on all of us. How is it that we all didn't plop right then? And you find when they had those situations of those real plagues, there was something in the water. And even though we may get to the point where we say, you know what, I ain't gonna drink that water. But then we gotta take a bath.
Mm-hmm.
How long you soaked in it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the difference between who caught it fast and who caught it slow. What? Go ahead.
Hey, man, and when you take a hot shower, your pores are open. Your
Yeah.
biggest receptor is your skin.
Right. It's the biggest organ on your body. We don't consider the skin an organ. But you jump in the shower, then go outside. So let something happen. You understand? Everything. You feel the air going through you. It don't feel like it hit your skin. It feel like it went in and came out the back. You feel like a ghost. Go ahead.
Did you see or hear about the train that crashed in Ohio?
Mm-mm.
There's a train that crashed a couple of days ago, and the news lady was saying that, because they had all kinds of chemicals and stuff on the train. She's like, well, the EPA keeps testing the air and the water. She finished by saying the water's a bit discolored, but it's okay. I'm sitting there like, what?
Boy, stop. Boy, stop. Right. You drink that water you want to. Go ahead.
Verse 33. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days.
These are the things that he's prophesying is going to happen to the children of Israel during the fourth kingdom. So we're talking about in the latter days. How is it a kingdom has already been set up? How is that? Somebody lying. Go ahead.
Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help. But many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed.
Right. It says keep your robe white and spotted. What is it? If that robe is white and spotted, white and unspotted, then it is not spotted with the deception of sin. So if you can keep your robe clean, that's keeping your soul clean. And how do you keep something clean? It ain't about never getting dirty. It's about cleaning it when it does get dirty. Go ahead.
And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself.
All right, listen.
And magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the el of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the el of his fathers, nor the desire of women.
Don't desire women. See, now, and when you have a certain thing, now all of a sudden you greater than the way a man was made. Yahweh said, it is not good for the man to be alone. But when man creates his own thing, he said, you know what, I don't need any of that. Go ahead.
Nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the el of forces, and a god whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and pleasant things.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3. Jeremiah chapter 3, and let's start that at verse 1. Because regardless of any other thing, you have to look at how Yahweh described. See, people say that this is about him presenting himself as a man. Now it goes deeper than that. Jeremiah chapter 3, and let's start at verse 1.
They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? shall not that land be greatly polluted?
All right. So he's likening this situation of him and Israel to husband and wife. Go ahead.
But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, says Yahweh.
Right. So then if there's no he and she, then his whole analogy here, this whole thing that he's saying doesn't make any sense. So you can't just change he and she because, that's why they also have to change husband and wife. Because Yahweh is clearly making this distinction that he's the husband and Israel's the wife. Go ahead.
Lift up your eyes onto the high places and see where you have not been lain with. In the ways have you sat for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness. And you have polluted the land with your whoredoms and with your wickedness.
Now, because we have to make everything literal, we don't understand. Worshiping other gods to Yahweh is committing adultery. So he gave us something so that we can understand that. Okay, you don't understand that you doing this to me? All right, then I'm going to give you a wife and I'm going to let her show attention to somebody else. How that make you feel? Well, that's what you're doing to me. Go ahead.
Therefore the showers have been withholden, and there has been no latter rain, and you has a whore's forehead. You refuse to be ashamed. Will you not from this time cry unto me, my Father, you are the God of my youth? Will he reserve his anger forever? Will he keep it to the end? Behold, you have spoken and done evil things as you could. Yahweh said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, have you seen that which backsliding Israel has done? She's gone upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there has played the harlot.
Now, this is what we have to really consider. How did we get off into all of that without anybody pushing us? So this is why this is our curse and judgment. Yahweh gave us all of these things. We envied the nations and did most of this on our own. So what does your punishment end up being like? You end up being forced to do the things that you decided to do on your own. You decided to do this. Now, I'm not going to let you do nothing but. You wanted to go and worship these other things? Now I'm going to make it hard for you to even find me. I'm going to put myself in a book and hide in the book from you. Make you search for that. Why? You threw it away. Go ahead.
And I said after she had done all these things, turn you on to me. But she returned not, and her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away, and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Yehuda feared not, but went and played the harlot also. And it came to pass through the lightness of her whoredom, that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and with stocks.
Check this out. Committed adultery with stones and stocks. So Yahweh has likened Israel unto his wife, and here is the stones and stocks. We know what this is. We know this is Islam and Christianity, the biggest things that we are off into as a people. And it was given to us as a curse on these days because we decided to do it on our own then. But hey, we didn't make the decision for Christianity this time around. That decision was made for us. See, this is how Yahweh does the punishment. See? Oh, this is what you want to do? Well, I'm gonna make you do it. What he said? You want flesh? You're gonna eat so much flesh that it shoot out your nostril. Oh, okay. You want to worship other gods? I'm gonna make you so dumb you ain't gonna even know that you worshiping another God out and reading my book. That's a part of the judgment. We didn't choose to be Baptist, Methodist, Episcopal. We didn't choose that. Whatever the slave master was, that's what you became. This is how he forces us into the decisions that we made on our own. Go ahead.
And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda has not turned on to me with her whole heart, but feignedly, says Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto me, The backsliding Israel has justified herself more than treacherous Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words toward the north, and say, Return, you backsliding Israel, says Yahweh, and I'll not cause mine anger to fall upon you. For I am merciful, says Yahweh, and I'll not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge your lawlessness, that you have transgressed against Yahweh your Elohim, and has scattered your ways to the strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, says Yahweh. Turn, O backsliding children, says Yahweh, for I am married unto you.
I am married unto you. So everything that he has described there of us going to worship is adultery. How do you change that relationship? By changing he and she. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 23. See, a lot of times they give us the warning of the big push that's coming. First, there's a campaign where it's a light campaign where it's just a little light dusting. Then it gets heavier and heavier, and all of a sudden everything is upon you. That little bit of information is put out there to get you ready for the changes that are on the way. Ezekiel 23, and let's start this at verse 1.
23.
Yeah, Ezekiel 23. And let's start that at verse 1.
The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother.
Now, first of all, Yahweh said you can't marry two sisters in their lifetime to cause an issue. He specifically held that to him and Yaakov, the only ones you read in this book that had a situation like that. Automatically set apart from anything else. Go ahead.
And they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised their teats of their virginity. And the names of them were Aholah the elder, and Aholibah her sister. And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names. Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem Aholibah.
Now, I want to read the definition of these two names, because these are names that he has given to these his two brides. Aholah equals her own tent, all right, which is Samaria as an adulteress. Aholibah, woman of the tent, or the tent is in her, meaning she is the one who follows what is supposed to be set up by her husband. So Aholah and Aholibah are names describing how they operate. Go ahead.
And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians, her neighbors, which were clothed with blue, captains and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredoms with them, with all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all of whom she doted, with all their idols she defiled herself. Neither left she her whoredoms brought from Egypt, for in her youth they lay with her, and they bruised the breast of her virginity, and poured their whoredom upon her.
Right. He's being very pinpoint with how deep the worship of other gods hurt him. So when people say, "Oh, you're gonna come to this Thanksgiving thing, and you're gonna come to this," no. Do you understand what this means to him? And if we considered that, we wouldn't even think about attending. But let it be something that offends our natural spouses. Oh, we'll cut that off in a minute, yeah, bro. You know, I would go out there, but yeah, man. Y'all go ahead. Oh, right. Go ahead.
Wherefore I have delivered her into the hand of her lovers.
You see that? So once you do something so long on your own, and he keep trying to pull you back, he don't try to pull you back no more. See, it's like a tug of war. He pulling you, and you keep pulling. Then he let go of the rope. Now you further in than you want it to be. See, you want it to be close enough to where you can go over there and then come back on Yahweh's side. But if you keep pulling, he let go of the rope. He said, no. Now I'm going to deliver you into the hand of them. You keep dealing with them. Now I'm going to put them over you. Go ahead.
Into the hand of the Assyrians, upon whom she doted.
Right. You thought it was all beautiful? Go ahead.
These discovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters, and slew her with the sword. And she became famous among women, for they had executed judgment upon her.
Uh-huh.
And when her sister Aholibah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in her whoredoms. She doted upon the Assyrians, her neighbors, captains and rulers clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. Then I saw that she was defiled, that they took both one way, and that she increased her whoredoms. For when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the image of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion.
The images of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion. You see, we wanted to deal with those things. Now we stuck in dealing with these idols. Go ahead.
Girded with girdles upon their loins, exceeding and dyed attire upon their heads, all of them princes to look to, after the manner of the Babylonians of Chaldea, the land of their nativity. And as soon as she saw them with her eyes, she doted upon them, and sent messengers unto them into Chaldea. And the Babylonians came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with their whoredom, and she was polluted with them, and her mind was alienated from them. So she discovered her whoredoms, and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister.
Right. There are too many things in here for you to change this into a non-binary situation. Whatever the hell that means. It's too much. You know, his relationship, I have formed you, I made you in my image, so then I have to give you a way to understand me. The family is a way for you to understand our relationship. You form a family, produce children. What happened? Those children asked you for something. Those are the prayers that we send up to him. So when you consider that sometimes your kids ask for stupid stuff, well, think about when you pray. At some point, when your kids come and ask for something stupid, you should consider your prayer. Man, how much stupid stuff have I asked my father for? See, sometimes you need to see that so you can understand, you know what? You deal with the child, but don't deal with him too hard now. Because remember, he you. Because this is stupid on your level. What you asked your God was stupid on his level. You may not even know it was stupid yet. Think about all the things you asked for. And you might be praying, oh, please, you know what I'm saying? Please, I love myself some Keisha Johnson. I love her. And he's like, that woman trash. And you stay with her, you're going to be trash too. Well, that's on his level. Imagine your kid can't ride a bicycle. Daddy, will you please buy me this motorcycle? That just means you're going to die faster. This goes faster. You don't know how to ride a bike. You cannot ride this. It was stupid. But you also asked for stupid things. You just don't know they're stupid yet. Now, later on, because, you know, we have selective amnesia, you think back on some of your stupid requests, and you think, oh, my God, he knew that was trash. The whole time I was praying, please clean up this trash. Please, this trash stink. Now, it's trash, son. It's going to stink. That's what trash does. You can't stay around the trash hill and think that you're going to have clean, bright days. You're going to have to separate yourself from this trash. Well, it may take you a couple of years to realize your prayer was stupid. Go ahead.
I just hope ain't no Keisha Johnson's watching.
It is what it is. It's always a Keisha Johnson, my brother. Always.
Verse 19. Yet she multiplied her whoredoms and called to remembrance the days of her youth, wherein she had played the harlot in the land of Egypt. For she doted upon their paramours, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses.
This is very, very descriptive in such a way that I'm not even going into it. That's how descriptive this is. Go ahead.
Thus you call to remembrance the lewdness of your youth, and bruising your teats by the Egyptians for the paps of your youth. Therefore, O Aholibah, thus says the Adonai Yahweh, behold, I'll raise up your lovers against you, from whom your mind is alienated, and I'll bring them against you on every side.
That is a part of the curse. Most of the things that we end up trying to cling to are the things that cause us the most problems. Go ahead.
The Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, Pekod and Shoah and Koah, and all the Assyrians with them, all of them desirable young men, captains and rulers, great masters and renowned, all of them riding upon horses. And they shall come against you with chariots, wagons, and wheels, and with an assembly of people, which shall set against you buckler and shield and helmet round about. And I'll set judgment before them, and they shall judge you according to their judgments. And I'll set my jealousy against you, and they shall deal furiously with you. They shall take away your nose and your ears, and your remnant shall fall by the sword. They shall take your sons and your daughters, and your residue shall be devoured by the fire. They shall also strip you out of your clothes, and take away your fair jewels. Thus will I make your lewdness to cease from you, and your whoredom brought from the land of Egypt, so that you shall not lift up your eyes unto them, nor remember Egypt any more. For thus says the Adonai Yahweh, behold, I'll deliver you into the hand of them whom you hateth, into the hand of them from whom your mind is alienated.
Do you understand how he deals with punishment? His punishment is poetically connected to the thing that we did. If you meditate good enough, when something happened, you can backtrack and figure out why. You got to come outside yourself, though, for a minute. And you got to try to see you outside of you. And you can see what you did and then see how he's dealing with it. Go ahead.
You know, this thing when he says they shall deal with you hatefully. You know, you got to consider his anger, but he said, you know, if I took that hateful anger that I have right now, all of y'all will be dead.
Be destroyed. If he moved in one angry manner, Israel would be consumed and wiped out. Go ahead.
And they shall deal with you hatefully, and shall take away all your labor, and shall leave you naked and bare. And the nakedness of your whoredoms shall be discovered, both your lewdness and your whoredoms. I will do these things unto you, because you have gone a whoring after the heathen, and because you are polluted with their idols. You have walked in the way of your sister. Therefore will I give her cup into your hand.
It was her cup. I'm going to give her cup into your hand. You weren't supposed to have that cup. You decided that you wanted that cup. Go ahead.
Thus says the Adonai Yahweh, you shall drink of your sister's cup deep and large. You shall be laughed to scorn and had in derision, and it containeth much. You shall be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, with the cup of astonishment and desolation, with the cup of your sister Samaria.
So then Judah wasn't supposed to have this kind of situation. Judah chose to. Go ahead.
Because Judah should know better. Judah got the
Exactly.
ruling class who's supposed to read out the Bible every day. And then you got the priest there. And you got your warriors. So y'all should have known better. And y'all should have been strong enough to stand up.
Right. But you decided that you saw what you liked. So now you get your sister's cup. Go ahead.
You shall even drink it and suck it out. And you shall break the sherds thereof and pluck off your own breasts. For I have spoken it, says the Adonai Yahweh. Therefore thus says the Adonai Yahweh, because you have forgotten me and cast me behind your back, therefore bear you also your lewdness and your whoredoms. Yahweh said moreover unto me, Son of man, will you judge Aholah and Aholibah? Yea, declare unto them their abominations, that they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands, and their idols have they committed adultery, and with their idols, have they committed adultery, and have also caused their sons, whom they bear unto me, to pass for them through the fire to devour them. Moreover, this they have done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day, and have profaned my Sabbaths.
Now, they burned their kids or whatever in the fire. All right, this is open worship to other gods. Then when you get to the point when you read the things that are in that book Without Sanctuary, how they made the barbecue was us that they were setting on fire. All right, and if you notice, in almost all of those things where they hung us, then they also set them on fire. Then there are times where they burned people alive, or in certain times just put them above the fire and let the fire dehydrate them. He said, no. This is what you did. You did this voluntarily. Now I'm going to take the choice away from you. Go ahead.
For when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And, lo, thus have they done in the midst of mine house.
Now, consider what he's saying. All right, you just committed adultery, and then you came in my house. There's, some strange teaching, and some people showed up here, said that they were encouraged to bring the Sabbath in. So whereas we sanctify and separate ourselves from cohabitation with our spouses on Friday night going into the Sabbath, other people were told that, hey, they should have a good time on Friday night. You see what he said? He said they did this and then came the same day into my house. And people don't understand, how is it that you guys say that we're supposed to operate this way? You don't understand what Yahweh is saying here? It's supposed to be some kind of separation between holy and unholy. Go ahead.
And furthermore, that you have sent for men to come from far, unto whom a messenger was sent. And, lo, they came, for whom you did wash yourself, painted your eyes, and decked yourself with ornaments.
Oh, yeah, this is when we get all pretty for to go do something ugly. But when it come down to present ourselves before Yahweh, we want to half do that. Go ahead.
And satteth upon a stately bed, and a table prepared before it, whereupon you had set mine incense and mine oil. And a voice of a multitude being at ease was with her. And with the men of the common sort were brought Sabaeans from the wilderness, which put bracelets upon their hands and beautiful crowns upon their heads. Then said I unto her that was old in adulteries, will they now commit whoredoms with her, and she with them? Yet they went in unto her, as they go in unto a woman that plays the harlot, so went they in unto Aholah and unto Aholibah, the lewd women. And the righteous men, they shall judge them after the manner of adulteresses, and after the manner of women that shed blood, because they are adulteresses, and blood is in their hands. For thus says the Adonai Yahweh, I'll bring up a company upon them, and will give them to be removed and spoiled. And the company shall stone them with stones, and dispatch them with their swords. They shall slay their sons and their daughters, and burn up their houses with fire. Thus will I cause lewdness to cease out of the land, that all women may be taught not to do after your lewdness.
And, they had a real knack for setting our houses on fire, especially here. We go in places where they set the whole town on fire. And then took all the land after they burnt it. See, there's certain things that you start to recognize Yahweh's punishment. Then when you realize and go back and read and see what we did, then you understand his punishment. See, some of this stuff we think that he just grabbed out of the air. No. He didn't grab those punishments out of the air. This is what we did. So then we'll look at some things and say, oh my God, this is so unfair. No, this is you. This is what we did. That's why the punishment comes that way. Go ahead.
and they shall recompense you your lewdness upon you. And you shall bear the sins of your idols, and you shall know that I am the Adonai Yahweh.
All right. Now we had a question here's kind of long. It says, "Shalom to you, elder, and to the entire UCI family. My younger sister, who has lived a same-sex lifestyle for the past 15 years, has recently decided to go through with what she's desired for some time now, at age 42, to be artificially inseminated, and is currently pregnant. As one could expect, our once close relationship took a severe nosedive nearly a decade ago when I explained to her my faith and both how and why I disapprove of her dealings based out of the Bible and the Most High Yah. Despite our differences, we've been able to remain cordial, speaking ever so often as I've continued recently these past few years to keep her updated on the deception that we are in the midst of, in hopes that Yah affords her true sight. Nonetheless, I found out some things, that was going. It says, I'm wondering, how should I consider this life if or once it is born, understanding that it was not brought forth by Yahweh's natural order. I certainly am not looking for any excuse to reject or hate anyone or anything outside of the idea itself. I haven't gotten past that part, but I'm just asking for some help and sound counsel towards the righteous governing of my thought process on this one. All right. Sometimes when you're dealing with some things, it's always a hindrance when we put it on our thoughts. Okay? And we have to go in and really examine and read some very difficult things, even when it's something that you want to do. Go and read everything against it. And what'll end up happening is the word itself will convict you. You may find something that you have a problem with. All right? You go and read the thing that deals with that every day. Because see, what we'll do is we'll read something one time and then we stop for 3 days. And then day number 5, we right back knee deep in muck. No. Address that head on and deal with it. Why? Because that's your weakness. What happens when you have, a injury and you have a bad arm or a bad leg? You got to go to physical therapy. They start working on that leg or that arm. After a while, you realize that the weak leg became your strong leg. The weak arm became your strong arm. Why? You had to work on it because it was a deficiency. But in that deficiency, you end up being stronger because of the deficiency. But not if you try to ignore it. Not if you try to act like it's not there. It never gets better that way. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20.
It's interesting with that whole situation. He said her long-time desire. We started this out talking about man, the life giver.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you in a relationship where you don't want a man, but even with what you desire still requires something from a man.
Right. Didn't no woman bring forth that insemination?
I'm with you. I'm just...
Right.
Leviticus 1.
Leviticus 20, and let's start at verse 10.
And the man that commits adultery with another man's wife, even he that commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
Now, are there rules? Yes. Are there also exceptions to rules? That is also a yes. But you stand in a very dangerous place expecting yourself to be the exception. And one of the things where this is purely stated, that when there's adultery committed, the man and a woman is supposed to die. Yet when David, King David, got with Bathsheba, not one word was spoken against her coming from Yahweh. Yahweh held him responsible for every bit of the wrong. Why? Because of the power he had. He had it going on. I mean, he had it going on up and down, left and right. Okay? He a king. He a warrior. He a poet. This brother could play the harp. When you seen a brother play a harp? And he's a straight killer. He's a king poet. She had no chances of standing up to him. He said, hey, she melted. Yahweh is holding him responsible for the power that he draws. Yahweh didn't punish her. The only thing he did was take the baby, and that was also about him. That wasn't about her. He said, you have given great occasion for the other people to come against me. This child can't live. That wasn't punishment to her. He knew. It said David went in and women started singing. And that's a brother that got it going on. You show up, ain't no music playing. They just heard music. Do you hear that? I don't hear nothing. I did. David came in here. Yahweh held him responsible.
Saul heard the music.
You know what I'm saying? Saul definitely heard the music. So much, in fact, he threw javelins at the music. Yahweh, so this is something that we have to understand. There may be exceptions, but it never changes the rule. But you can't expect that Yahweh gonna keep or make an exception for you. You're blessed if he does, but if he doesn't, go ahead.
You know, you got to look at, you talking about exceptions, right? Everything that we just read in Ezekiel, to come back right here, verse 10. The adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Israel should be dead.
You got it. You got it. And he said, you've done it many times, not one time. See, an adulteress is supposed to be murdered one time. See, she did it one time, she's supposed to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you've done it many times. And then come back to me. Matter of fact, you went over your boyfriend's house and then came on my house the same day. Ain't that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
And the man that lies with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness among you.
It is amazing how he goes, the level of that. Now, one thing it said was abomination. Then he's like, they shall be burnt with fire. What? So there's certain things that he is strongly. There's levels, even though people say, sin is a sin. Nah, not quite. Because some of this stuff right here is on a whole nother level. A whole nother level. And by trying to change everything, it's not just going to change the man-woman-God relationship. It's going to change the entire Bible. You change that, everything in here changes. Because at that point, who is God then? Who is he? Where does the adultery happen? If God is asexual or whatever, where's the marriage? Is now the marriage between a woman and a woman? What is the relationship if that changes? Go ahead.
So this whole verse 10 through verse 21 going to be missing out of some Bibles.
Sound like it. Sound like, you know, it's going to be, but you know what? Let's be honest. It's going to be just like Sunday morning. You read one verse, 2, and then you got to jump down to 12. And then you got to jump down to 28 because something around verse 8 cut up what you were going to say about verse 2. When you get down to 12, you can't read 16. See? So this is why in certain worship practices, you can go there 40 years. You ain't never heard a whole chapter. And ain't going to hear a whole chapter. Why? Because he has this writing formulated in a certain way that if you just take one thing, you may be able to go off on a tangent. But if you keep reading, it's going to take care of that tangent. So how we get all of these other doctrines is they have to read 1 or 2 lines, what they call cherry picking scripture, read 1 or 2 lines, and then you got to do a song and dance the rest of the program. Go ahead.
And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and you shall slay the beast.
Po beast. Po beast. The beast get killed for letting him do it. I guess, Yahweh like you should have kicked him. You should have kicked him. If you'd have kicked him, you'd have been alive. Go ahead.
And if a woman approach unto any beast, and lie down thereto, you shall kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Now, you have to look. There's certain things that they say when an animal tastes human blood, it's got to die. Because it is now going to desire something that it ain't supposed to desire. Like a lion goes and eat a wildebeest. Wildebeest eat what? Grass. All right. A lion go and eat a brother beast. Okay? That brother done had high fructose corn syrup. He had some Hawaiian punch in there. That is the sweetest meat he has ever tasted ever in the history of Africa. He is like, he is definitely the Lion King now. He's like, I'm killing every last one of them I see. Man, they taste amazing. It's like sugar just poured in there. That wildebeest didn't taste like sugar. That wildebeest ain't nothing but grass. But everything we got high fructose corn syrup. He eat one of us. He don't want no. The wildebeest might get confused. He might walk past the wildebeest. The wildebeest like, so what? Am I chopped liver? What? You ain't gonna try to chase me or nothing? I don't want you. Now drink this Hawaiian punch and maybe I'll chase you. Go ahead.
And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing.
You ain't even supposed to see it. See, this is the speed bump that stops you from the sin. Like coveting, you have not done the deed yet. You are thinking of doing the deed. That's your speed bump to keep you from doing it. So by the time you're doing it, you're on sin number 2, not sin number 1. And the wages of sin, singular, is death. You're on number 2. So the speed bump is supposed to slow you down to the point where you say, you know what? I've been in wrong enough. I ain't gonna do it. Go ahead.
And they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness. He shall bear his lawlessness. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he has discovered her fountain, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people.
Right. And when you see that you are having an issue dealing with it, because the word tells us one thing, the street tell you something else. The street said, look at man, after 3 days, you all right. See, Yahweh said something else. So if you find yourself having an issue dealing with that, Every day you get up, and if a woman shall lie with a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness. You need to read that every day. Every day until you don't have that problem no more. Then when you have some other problem, go find out where that thing at and go read it every day. Don't run from it. You're going to have more problems running from it. Run at it. Run at it. You run from it, it's got control because it's behind you. You can't see it. I keep it in front of me. I know where it's at. You move, I move. Just like that. Go ahead.
And you shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, nor of your father's sister, for he uncovers his near kin, they shall bear their lawlessness. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness, they shall bear their sin, they shall die childless. And if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing, he has uncovered his brother's nakedness, they shall die, they shall be childless.
Now, imagine all of these instructions. Take him and her and his out of here. How can you understand any of it? It is impossible. Especially when you take into the whole thing that he has likened himself and put this relationship with Israel. And this is where, you know, the higher level of it is. Israel consists of women and men naturally, but is his wife as a woman spiritually. Now you meditate on that, and that's pretty heavy. Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it. Let's go to.
Oh, you want to continue to verse 22?
Yeah.
Okay, Leviticus chapter 20, verse 22. You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whether I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And you shall not walk in the manners of the nation which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said unto you, you shall inherit their land, and I'll give it unto you to possess it.
Now, wait. You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land where I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. Okay, there's a thing where we're trying to have peace with people. Part of having peace is, you know, a lot of times we have to do certain things at jobs. You know, we have to do certain things, but what do you allow in your land? See, what happens in your land, that's your land. What happens in my land is something different. I do not have to deal with in my land the things that you are okay with. We have a certain culture. When you cross my threshold, you're going to deal with that culture or you're not entering into my land. This is how Yahweh deals with it. That's why brothers went up and said, if you lodge about this wall one more time trying to bring something in on the Sabbath day, I'm going to lay hands on you. Did he negotiate? Did he say, well, no, it's not y'all custom. Y'all don't really care about the Sabbath. So, look, just say one or two things and then go back out. No. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm going to show you these hands. I'm finna hand out some real life lessons up in here. I'm finna show you these hands. Come over here again. So then when we consider there's a part where the execution of Yahweh's word to some people is going to be presented. And if you think that's this way now, it's going to get worse. To where you are presented as being an aggressive individual. So let's say you accept or you have to think about how children grow up. They learn, they're like sponges. So they're learning even when we're not trying to teach. When you're doing whatever you're doing, they're learning. So if this child is picking up one way of life, how does that then affect the other children that they are around? See, this is that thing. We go and we try to teach our kids one thing. Then you send them to school, and they learn all kind of hell. Why? Because they sit next to Johnny Demon Boy. Now, you can try all you want to teach them, and then Johnny Demon Boy is right next to him. You ever seen something like this? What? What is that? See? So now imagine if you allow that into your circle, and then it affects your circle. Then you're going to be extremely upset later on when you realize that that was something that you invited into the circle that caused, those things. My thought process, if people get grown and make their decisions, that's the decisions that they chose to make. But things that I allowed them to be, confronted with, then that's my issue. That's not theirs. So, that's, and there's a whole lot more that we could go into on that. But at the end of the day, we have to learn to be cordial about everything, but without compromising our beliefs. I can't turn my light down to make somebody feel comfortable, even though that's a baby, even though, this is a nice woman or a nice man, because people can be nice and still worship the adversary of the devil. We picture if somebody worshiped the devil, they're going to be like some kind of foaming at the mouth beast. That might be the nicest, sweetest person you have ever seen in your life, and they straight worship the adversary of the devil. You got to think about it, man. Yahweh says, go in that land and kill everything that breathes. You know how hard that must have been? You don't think it was babies in there? He called them out because they left sheep living. Is it? What? Did you follow my instructions? I followed the instruction of Yahweh. Well, answer this for me. What's that bleeding the sheep out here? Tell me how, because if they dead, I'm trying to figure out why am I hearing that? If they dead. Oh, no, the people saved it. Oh, okay. So the people saved them to offer up to Yahweh. So I'm going to do good with some evil. So maybe this is the first steps of our conditioning that we're going to have to get ready for. Remember, like what happened to the point? Remember coming out when Moshe comes down and he asked him, who is on Yahweh's side? Mm-hmm. You know they had to kill their own brothers. Mm-hmm. We say we about it. We say we about it. We're gonna see. Go ahead, bro.
You got to think about the great conditioning that's happening right now. Remember how cruel we were in school?
Uh-huh.
Now you think about our school days and you find out that somebody's parents was same-sex parents. That brought hell on that child.
Boy, we were brutal with jokes and stuff. Oh, man. You remember that song, Your Mama's on Crack Rock? Remember that? Remember that? Man, can you imagine just let loose? I can't imagine being 9 or 10 and, because about 10 or 11, these jokes would come out and make you cry. And we wouldn't stop until we got that clear oil. You know what I'm saying? You had to cry before we stopped. If you don't cry, we ain't stopping. We're not stopping.
So therefore, the conditioning from the young to be accepting of this lifestyle.
Right, but you see why they got it. But see, you just hit on something there that I hadn't thought about. That's why they got to start with the kids. Mm-hmm. Because if you can make the kids accepting, then that acceptance will grow and go into adulthood. It's the most brutal ones are the kids. Kids are brutally honest. You talking in a family. The wife asked the husband, baby, do this dress make me look fat? No, absolutely not. Ask the kid, Mommy, you look like the blimp. You know, and then the kid will hurt everybody's feelings in the house and have a complete straight face. Like, what? What happened? Man, you okay? I thought that dress should have Goodyear on it because it looked just like the blimp. What? And won't think nothing. And then ask, so what's for dinner? They won't, because they're brutally honest at a point. Okay? But then as we grow, they start teaching us political correctness. So then we can't say this and we can't say that and we can't say that. And then what happened? We get old and go right back into that circle where we was when we were little. So you got to be careful where you take your grandmama. Because she'll go in the mall with you. If that ain't the ugliest woman I ever saw in my life, come on, shut up. You can't say that. I mean, she is ugly though, but don't say that. It goes right back in that circle. So they have to condition them to not speak the truth. So that's why there's a certain amount of public schooling that I didn't want my kids to have. I know what it did with me. They tried to take out every bit of things that you have in you that's going to make you survive. They need to take it out and make it docile so you can be indoctrinated and follow the path that has already been laid out for you. And that's that thing of why this is happening to us so strongly. But it is clear to see that if Yahweh doesn't come and make some changes, I'm telling you, we are all but extinct. There is war being waged on us, and we have no idea. We are still partying and acting like everything is okay. We still, smoking and choking, drinking and stinking. And war is being, we got spiritual bullets flying by our head, and we still puff passing. We think this is all a game. This is pre-war logistics that's happening. Everything is moving into place except us. And you can't get any deeper than warring with the minds of children, trying to teach them something as their brains are forming. Children formulate and think. Their brain is changing so fast that they have the ability to absorb an enormous amount of things. When people describe them as sponges, that is true. They can hold, you can put a sponge in water and have the water gone when you pick that sponge back up. You ain't do nothing but sit it in there. Sit a rag, sit anything else in there. It ain't gonna do the same thing. That sponge gonna pull up all of that. This is why kids, you can put them around people. And that's why rich people, they have servants of different nations in their houses. That kid will learn 3-4 languages at the same time if the servants only speak to him or her in that language. They'll learn all of those languages and English all at the same time. That's how enormously wonderful a child's brain is. They don't think that when they're young. But you get us, a 50-year-old and said, learn Spanish. Hey, brother, I learned, in school, I could do some of that stuff. Best I can get you now is buenos noches, I hate roaches. That's it. I'm not going no farther than that. That's it. I'm out. But you can suck all that stuff up when you're young and rattle it out because the brain is formulating and it is allowing them to do that. So doing this evil at this time is warfare. Don't get my kids. If my kids decide to make a decision on their own, I may not be happy with the decision, but they made the decision as an adult. Don't feed them that as no kid. Now they ain't got no choice but to make that decision because you already spoiled their brain. But that's all that we're going to do for today. Preach Kish, would you lead us out in prayer, please?
Yes, sir. Let's rise and face the east. Brothers, remove your head coverings. Sisters, always pray with your heads covered. Abba, Father, Yah, the El of Abraham, Esaac, and Jacob, the Most High Covenant Elohim of Israel. Merciful Father, Yah, I ask that you'll protect us in these days and in these times, O Heavenly Father, as we can see that man wants to separate from your ways, O Heavenly Father. We need your guidance and protection, O Heavenly Father. We need you to give us strength to stand upon your ways, O Heavenly Father. Almighty Yahweh, as we see these things coming upon the earth, O Heavenly Father, we can also understand that the redemption of the children of Israel is near, O Heavenly Father. Give us the strength, O Heavenly Father, to continue to walk in your righteous ways, O Heavenly Father, and also give us the strength and the means to continue to be a light in this time of darkness, O Heavenly Father, to guide your lost sheep home, O Heavenly Father, and to even keep the lost sheep at home, Almighty Yahweh. Continue to give us the tools necessary, O Heavenly Father, to spread your name throughout the four corners of the earth, Almighty Yahweh. I ask that you will guide and protect each and every one of us as we depart to our separate homes, O Heavenly Father, and keep your protection around this, our little sanctuary, while we're away, Almighty Yahweh. These things I humbly come to you and pray and ask in the name of your holy anointed Son, Yahshua HaMashiach. Amen and hallelujah.
Amen and hallelujah.